Good evening. It's 7 o'clock on Wednesday, March 25, 2015. I'm going to open the meeting. This meeting is being recorded for rebroadcast at a later time. Our meetings are available online at the Town of Auburn website, which is auburnguide.com. Before we begin, I must ask if anyone is making an audio recording of this hearing. If not, the first item on tonight's agenda is a 7 o'clock hearing, Packagug Farms LLC request for determination. Is there a motion to open?
So moved. I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote. Is there someone here for Packagug Farms LLC?
Aye.
And if you could identify yourself.
Hi.
How are you? You must
Good,
be
I'm
Sheila.
Sheila, yes.
I'm Marco.
Oh, nice to meet you, Rocco.
Nice to meet you.
You want to say your name, Len?
Yes.
Please.
I'm Marco Antonelli, and I am the person proposing this project.
Okay.
One of the people.
All right.
Christopher Blake, architect for the project.
Very good. Why don't you proceed, gentlemen?
We have been going through the process with the town for a subdivision plan on the lot at 71 Curtis. And we have a proposal, there's an existing house there, and we have a proposal for they call it 7 lots, but one of the lots has a house on it, but 6, I have a colored version here that may be easier to see, but 6 lots, and 3 of the lots are within the buffers, 100-foot buffer of a wetlands that is off our property on the other side. And given the shape of the property and the sites and all the other parts, there are pieces of for the house placement, there are pieces of house that are inside that buffer zone.
Right.
But the water mitigation and all of the engineering that we've done catches everything that is runoff from the house and brings it back to the drainage area, which is on the downhill side, on the other side of the cul-de-sac. You'll see a little corner, there's a little corner piece that shows that there's the drainage parcel at the end there. So all water is being managed away from, it's not, other than water that hits the ground, the water that's on the driveway, we haven't, we're still in the process with finishing up with the town, but the houses and any impervious surfaces are all sort of moving towards the road and towards our retention area, our water retention.
Now, who has done the drainage calculations for you?
Our engineering firm.
Our, Thompson Farland.
Okay. Have they been submitted to Mr. Coyle?
Yes.
Yes, they've gone back and forth through everything and have acknowledged, and I think we're at the point where they have answered all of the town engineering questions, all of the peer review questions, and as far as that part is concerned. And so the issue of the parcels that are touched by the wetlands, we just want to make sure that we're following all the things we need to.
So as I understand it, because the wetlands are off-site of your property, you did not have them flagged, is that right?
There are some old flags up there, but unfortunately the Arctic weather, we did test pits and drainage back in January, everything was fine. Come February, everything went to a stop. So as soon as we have access to see the ground again and are able to walk the site, it's going to be reflagged, correct? I mean, that is the...
The abutter has recently flagged the property.
You're talking about Mr. Marhart?
I don't know the name.
Okay, yeah. And the property now, aside from the house lot, is it wooded or hasn't been cleared yet?
No, our intention is not to clear cut the property. We're only clearing at the places where we're putting the drive and the house itself. We have no intention of clear cutting the property. We are going to take out any unviable trees, but the idea is to leave it a wooded site. That's our desire for the project itself. So there's the planting or the tree ordinance that goes around the cul-de-sac itself, which we're going to plant the trees in accordance with that every 40 feet. But everything else, the idea is supposed to be that it's still a wooded site. Only things that are either in the way, and there's a lot of dead wood in there, that part is going to be cleaned off, but it's not about clear cutting and making a field out of that property.
I mean, I, for one, would like to certainly take a look at the property, and obviously with the winter we've had, the snow finally is starting to go down, and I'm hopeful that perhaps by the beginning of April, we'll actually be able to traipse in the woods and maybe even see some wetland areas in relation to the house lots that might be affected.
I agree.
Okay.
So any idea, Dan, that's obviously not up by the top of
Yeah.
Hackensack Street.
It's further down.
Scroll down.
Yeah.
It's Curtis Street right there.
Keep going.
But yeah.
Yeah, towards down towards the post properties. Right now, okay,
Oh, so
so
the trees
so
there.
right where you are, right there. There's the little. No, keep going. Zoom in. Where you have the arrow right now, go up a little bit more. That house, right? There are 2 red cars parked in the driveway.
Yeah.
Across the street is the existing house. Is that? Keep
Okay.
going. Yeah, that's the house that's in the front of our property, and then the rest of the property is behind
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And the red car is my property.
Okay.
Was this originally part of the Post property? It's
No.
surrounded by the Post property.
Yeah.
Okay.
The house that's shown on Lot 7, is that going to be changed in any way? Is it going to be taken down, or is it going to remain upright?
At this point, it's a serviceable house. We have people living there, and it's, we have in our budget is to renovate and to work on the house as it exists now. We haven't been in the house recently to sort of evaluate what's going on in there, but it has always been in our plan to just fix it. So,
Okay. All right.
How big an area is it?
the front.
The whole
Oh, wow,
parcel,
yeah.
4.2 acres.
Oh, 4.2. It's all in that zone there, kind of by Stonebridge Road too.
I think there's a locus plan on the front of the
Right, on the first page.
that gives that also shows the lots and
It's
the layout
it's
within
adjacent to the to Kevin Moore's property.
Okay. Very nice.
So Kevin Marr's property is the one with the wetlands on it properly, correct?
Correct.
We had a discussion at the last planning board meeting and talked about the sort of any runoff going back into that. I know there's a water problem down by the culvert, down by the town road issues. All of the water that is coming off of our structures are going the other side, and we're not adding to that particular part. At some point when the road gets dealt with, hopefully the culvert that is broken underneath there and was actually acting as a retention area will be repaired, so they won't have that sort of ponding issue there. I know that was a big issue for that, right at that junction point. I think that's actually town property, in fact, in that little section there, but that was...
Yeah, there's a little triangular piece that's actually the town property. That's in front of Mr. Cole's property and beside ours.
All right. Yeah, I think it's shown on the map here.
Because we're basically, the property line is basically at the crown, is actually at the highest point, and so everything that comes into our property is actually tipped towards the post side, not back towards the wetlands.
Yeah, I mean, it's Hackensack Hill, so it's coming down. Everything's coming down this way, basically. So that drainage area is
It's on
probably
the
a low
lowest,
point.
yeah, it's on the low side of the,
Which makes sense.
How much excavation will you have to do in order to make the detention basin work?
how much, no, that's the kind of number that I don't have on the top of my head. But I know it's all been covered in all of the drainage report that was given in, all of that stuff has been, the calculation has all been taken care
Yeah,
of.
we haven't seen that report, so, all right.
About 50 feet in 400 feet, let's say. So, some good slopes on there.
Yeah, in fact, in back and forth with the engineering with the town, there was an issue about slopes and how to drain back. Basically, none of the water is to run onto Curtis Street as well, so we moved the bump as you come up and into the property. All that water is now moving back towards the retention area. Everything's being caught and moved back towards the same collected, so that nothing's running off. I know there's a runoff issue that's a serious concern on Curtis itself, and we're not adding to that.
Any questions from the board? Okay. One second. All right. If there are questions from the audience, I would ask you to identify yourself by your name and your address, please. Mr. Post?
Yes, thank you. My name is Bob Post, live at 170 Millbury Street. I'd like to raise two questions or concerns with regard to what's being proposed tonight. With regard to this map here, the first issue I'd like to raise is the corner of the property, the so-called triangle, where there's a so-called drain in disrepair. That, in fact, if this board looks back at the 5 or 10-year-old submission of these very engineering diagrams for this parcel, they'll find that that point was the place that was proposed for drainage off of this site. Now, I bring that up because there is water there and it is off-site, and I don't know whether or not that was or was not considered in the wetland flagging. So I think this board should take into consideration that particular location when you review the site and determine what flagging has or hasn't been done and what the extent of buffer areas are. That would be issue number one.
All right.
Point or question. Now, the applicant has referred multiple times to the fact that they are in fact redirecting the drainage, quote, now the other way. That other way happens to be me. And the point, now the property that is in discussion here tonight is sort of trapezoidal, and it goes to about here, about to my hand.
Right.
The drainage basin that's being proposed is approximately in this location. It's going to create a point flow that never existed before. This entire property's been sheet flow. They're proposing a drainage basin, they're proposing a point flow, they're proposing a point flow that will go into property that I own. I don't have a desire to have a point flow that would effectively become an intermittent stream, and therefore would need to be, in my opinion, in some way or another flagged as a wetland. I don't really desire to have a wetland created either on my property or adjacent to my property that would affect buffers onto my property. Those are my two questions or issues related to the applicant's discussion tonight.
All right, thank you. Someone else?
Warner Hill, 73 Curtis Street. I'm the immediate abutter to this property.
Okay, sir, on which side? Oh, you're at the...
73.
Okay, very good, I see that.
I have water coming from that property every day for 43 years.
Okay,
From their property, which they're gonna develop,
you don't have to point, sir.
okay? Now, what I wanna know, 10 or 15 years ago, there was proposed 4 houses to be put there, and it was turned down by the planning board. How come suddenly they're gonna put 6?
Well, sir, we're not the planning board, so I can't speak to that.
This I wanna find out about.
Then I suggest that you take your concerns to the planning board.
What is the proposed, how big does the lot have to be to put a house on it? 20,000?
You know, I don't have that information handy.
I'd be happy to answer this
Please.
question. 20,000 square feet.
Okay.
Right. How are you gonna get 6 lots in a 4-acre lot?
We've got, because 20,000 is less than half an acre.
Plus a road.
Well, sir, Mr. Hill?
It's not our
I'm-
question.
I'm looking at a plan now, and the plan has been prepared by an architect, and it has been submitted to the planning board, so I suspect that these issues have been addressed by that board. And again, I can't speak to what the planning board has done with respect to this proposal, and that's why I'm suggesting to you that if you have any issues or concerns, you should probably bring those to the attention of the
I
planning board.
intend to.
That's fine, sir. You're absolutely right. Okay?
And I don't want any more water than is coming across now.
I take your point, sir. Thank you.
Plus on the property near the stone wall, there you see the stone wall. I don't know if it's a well or an old where you empty refuse into. There's water that flows out of there every day.
You mean, when you say water flows out, are you saying there's a spring there or there's groundwater there?
There's either an old well there
Uh-huh.
or where they emptied the refuse.
Okay.
Okay? And there's a pipe coming out from this property that they used to use as a sump hole to empty the water out of the cellar.
Are you talking about the house that's on, what's shown on lot
On their
7, the
property.
existing house?
Yes.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't, it was used years ago for an old sump pump drained right onto my property.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any-
Bear with me.
Your name and your address, sir.
I'm gonna give it to you.
Okay.
Rick Daniels, 70 Curtis Street. I've been there for 20 years. Number one, the picture you're looking at is 7 years old.
Well,
No,
that's a
no,
Google map, and
no,
so I
no.
make no representation onto how
No,
current it
I'm
is.
making it as point of fact.
Okay.
Number one, the ground has changed for alterations of natural occurrences. Number one is, what Mr. Hill is saying, is I've been to all 7 planning board meetings. Everything gets redirected to town council. As far as abutters on a private street, we're in a total cloud. We can't get an answer to what's happening with the town. That's the planning board. As far as conservation, you folks should be aware of many things. The old home used to have, but because of the current tenants, I can't verify it, used to have 2-3 feet of water. It's got an industrial pump to pump the water out of the basement. It's 1 foot thick.
Okay.
Where the water's diverting to Mr. Hill's property is when they put the athletic fields in, everything as far as wetlands, underground water has changed. 20 years ago, when my children were, say, 10 and 14, we had 2 streams behind my property, which was part of Mr. Post's property that he gave to the, sold to the town. That has now changed with the athletic fields to 7 streams. The riprap retention wall that's on the last field is actually bleeding. You folks, through the administration before you, have not considered all the plants and animal life that have been terminated. We used to have lady slippers. They're gone. We used to have tiger lilies, those red, funky little plants with the black lines. They're gone. We used to have salamanders with spots. They're gone. Now, what you're going to do across from my property, which is directly across from this, is you're going to have a construction site entrance right across from my house. Now, I can't figure out why I would end up ending up with all the water coming back to me. The new proposed 40-foot street, which would be public, you're going to bring into a private street. You can't do it. Mass general laws. I found it with a town council at $900 an hour. Can't find it. You can't do it.
With
no,
respect,
wait.
Mr. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Continue.
wait a minute. Let
All
me
right.
do my spiel.
Okay.
Because this is the only conservation meeting that's been called on the property
So far.
that I've been aware of, that I've been invited to.
Okay.
When you do this new driveway, right, 40 feet, you're gonna go into Mr. Post's old land, which the town owns, which goes behind my property, which goes behind number, I'm 70, number 80, number 82. You're gonna flood our backyards so we can't use it during the summer. I mean, literally. Right now, you had mentioned at the very beginning, you would take a walk. If
Absolutely.
you took a walk with any group of your committee, right now, tomorrow, you would see a dozen spots from Mr. Post's former land, which the town owns, my land, that is now broken free through the springs.
Oh, okay.
The springs are all over, they keep moving. When I talked to the town engineer, I got nowhere. What I'm saying is, this development is gonna be an ecological disaster. I'm not busting people's chops to make a profit, to develop land. But you're gonna create a disaster for our land, which amounts to 5 families, and to the town's 50 acres that they're purchasing from Mr. Post. You really have to look at what you're gonna do to the environment, which these folks have not brought up. They are actually totally gone off the charts and gone, hey, I'm gonna make big bucks, but I'm gonna really mess up this thing. Well, the people that live there were the ones that live with. I've lived across the street from 71. 71 right now, the entire front of the house has black mold because it's not insulated. It has a minimum of a foot of water. Probably needs a good $200,000 worth of work.
Well, sir, with respect, that's their issue, not yours.
It's their issue, but I'm the one across the street from the mold. I'm the one across the street from the water. Mr. Post is next door to the water. And if I think it's right, conservation means the environment. What you're gonna do to us. What are you gonna do to the environment right now? What are you gonna do to the environment in the future? I think you really gotta think this one out. It's not like clear cut development such as Bryn Mawr. You know, you want to build houses, yada, da, da, da. This one is, when you do the walkthrough and you actually see what's going on, it's not on an open, flat plain.
Yes, sir.
It's on the side of a hill. It's on the side of a hill with multi-elevations. So the question of excavation, you're going to be excavating 70,000 yards of fill out to create a level surface to build homes on. I personally, after 40 years of swinging a hammer, I have built 5 developments. I don't know what these guys have done, but I've done 5. And I've gone through all the hoops and hurdles. And this one, I think, is bad for the town. The LLC is a combination of the owner, Rocco, and one more person. They use a common address of the owner's business address in Somerville. All these things just don't add up.
Well, sir, I'm not going to talk about the way they've incorporated
No,
their LLC.
I'm saying...
Your point, sir, Mr. Daniels, your point is well taken.
Okay, that's all I wanted.
Thank you. Really.
And I would just point out to people, before we go, that the current regulations are such that when you do anything now, you have to submit a stormwater management plan now. So presumably, it's going to be made better than what it would have been made years ago. I mean, they have to incorporate all these flows into calculations and figure out how the drainage is going to be and submit a plan to the planning board and to us. So those things do come into play. But I'm looking at the slope too, so.
Could I ask one more
understand.
question, please?
Sure.
Tommy Townsend lives down below on the flat.
He's here.
Oh, Tommy's here? How are you gonna get away from running water down the way he lives?
I don't know,
You're
sir.
gonna run it right across them.
I'm
This
not
is
an
something
engineer,
that,
sir.
if and when, more plans come in, they'll have to be addressed, all those things will have to be looked at by an engineer, so.
Any other
We're not
questions?
experts at water flow, but we have engineers look at that and determine you know, is this
Correct.
Any other comments from the audience? Sir, can you state your name and your address?
Tom Townsend, 169 Southfield Road.
Yes, sir.
I own the property across the street, 170 Southfield Road, which is where they're putting that catch basin,
Okay.
within a term. It is right on the corner of my property and also post property. And I have been the victim of a zero impact study before, next to the golf course. And anybody wants to come up, I can show you zero impact and what it means.
I take it that you don't believe there was a zero impact.
I know for a fact that it was a very big impact.
Okay, that's fair enough.
And because what happened is, up around that golf course, there were all these underground streams. And they dug in there and they screwed up the whole subterranean whatever. And it was just mud, sand, silt coming down there for years. I mean, it stopped now because it was like, whatever, years ago. And there's no doubt in my mind that those underground streams exist on this property just as they did up there. And I don't see how they can put on the backside a drainage that's going to impact two other people's properties. And I mean, there's not much more to say about it. I could go on and on, but I hope you look long and hard before you allow them to put something right in the corner of the property that's going to affect a lot of other property around it.
Okay, sir, thank you. Sir?
I'm Frank Cole.
Mr. Cole?
I live at 33 Curtis Street, which is next to 71.
Right.
So it's a crazy street. And
You're next to Kevin Mara's property, too.
yes,
Okay,
his property and mine are back to back.
right.
So there is a wetland that is partially in his property and on my property.
Yes, sir.
And I have an intermittent stream that runs out of that wetland down to a culvert. And there is a problem for me because where they're proposing their development is a private street. Curtis Street is accepted to number 33, which is my house.
Okay.
And the street as it exists is not in the right-of-way which exists on a town map. My property, the right-of-way goes straight, and the road goes to the right and becomes a private road. So there is a culvert in that triangle that is town property. And actually, within that area, I think it is a wetland. You know, whether it's caused by a faulty culvert or whatever. But I do know that when the town engineers came, the water table on that area, you know, on my side, is at 3 feet, is the water table.
Okay.
And there is a puddle that is constantly there. It's intermittent, but
Do you have a problem with water in your basement?
personally, I don't.
Okay.
But the reason that I don't have is that the contractor that built my house put a drain pipe that drains into that culvert. And I am very concerned with what might happen because in the 70s, the entire street, we lost our, what do you call it, sewage field, the,
Which area? Leach field?
what's that?
Leach field?
There are leach fields. And if it weren't for the fact that the federal government gave the town money to put a sewer down Curtis Street, we would have all had to abandon our homes. So that's how serious it is.
Okay.
And I know the amount of water that moves underground because when they put in Stonebridge Street, it took them forever when they wanted to put the sewer into Stonebridge. It took them 2 days using that cement that hardens underwater to seal out. So there, I know the volume of water. They pumped for days just to put that sewer line in. And Mr. Thompson is talking about, you know, his property. Well, I would like to remind people that at one time there was a storm. I can't tell you the year, but the water coming off the golf course blew out South Hole Road, and the town came and put in a huge culvert and rebuilt South Hole Road. So the amounts of water that is moving off of Packagug Hill is fantastic.
Okay.
You have to live there to really appreciate it. So I think that the whole thing has to be looked at environmentally. And I'm not any kind of an expert to say what can be done. I know the house that exists at 71, when my kids were young, they used to play in the cellar of that house, and there was a stream that ran across the cellar.
Okay.
So what Mr. Hill is saying is absolutely true. So, but this corner where my land, you know, meets at Curtis Street, that's town property. It's not mine. So I don't know how you proceed, but I feel that if, you know, you walk through,
Well, we will. I assure you that we will.
see.
We'll take a look at the culvert too, for sure.
Yeah, and I strongly suspect that they originally, on their project, they originally were draining water into Curtis Street. But when it was pointed out the problems that we're having, they changed their plan, and now they say all the water is going the other way. But the only way that water can get to the retention pond that they show would be either by gravity or pump. And I suspect that if it's going to go by gravity, they have one heck of a tunnel to build to get the water to go that way. So I'm sure their intentions are good, but I think that the people that are below this project should have some protection, and I just worry that the retention pond that they're showing, that's in the future, it's going to flood Mr. Thompson again and could materially affect South Hole Road.
Okay.
So that's my plea.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Yeah.
Mr. Post?
Well, I just like to make one amplifying observation. This event that Mr. Cole makes reference to did affect my property. This board is aware that there were some discussions between myself and this board for several years regarding the repair that was necessary. I point that out now only simply that now the town of Auburn owns that property. Okay? And somebody representing the town of Auburn should be concerned about the property as a town asset. I no longer own it. The town of Auburn does. The issues haven't changed. The ownership has changed. I can't speak for the town of Auburn. I could speak for myself a couple of days ago, but now someone else needs to speak on behalf of the town of Auburn relative to that town asset and that issue.
Very good, thank you.
I have one more.
Making sure, Mr. Dales.
It's gonna be so quick you won't believe it.
I'll reserve judgment, go ahead.
Years ago, Mr. Strout dug up the street to put the water main in, from Mr. Cole's house down to the end. If you look up those records, Mr. Strout, over a period of 4 or 5 months, was flooded trying to put a water main in by underground water streams. If you did that, that would be the beginning of your former committee, where you guys were, where they were involved. And now you can see that we've lived with underground water tables. At one point, when you're happy as a homeowner, something else happens and it diverts it.
Okay.
We're living on really an unstable underground water table. And I think you guys should really consider going backwards with information we give you to see. It's been there forever. And if you change it, I don't think anybody's got a super crystal ball to figure out where it's gonna go. But I know, like, my home doesn't have a pump. Across the street does have a pump. The house, 2 houses up from Mr. Cole's, has pumps. Mr. Chapin's, which is 4 houses up, they have pumps. And Mr. Gustafson, he was a teacher at the middle school. He has, that I put in, 3 industrial pumps. Because he has to have like 5 streams under his home.
Okay, I got it.
No, I'm just saying,
Okay.
that's it.
All right.
You said quick, I did it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's this board's
Well, kind of.
jurisdiction or the planning boards or a combination of both, but just for reference, on sheet 2, there are test pits in all the areas, the TPs, that the engineer asked us to perform, which were analyzed by the town engineer.
Did they all perk?
They have the test results.
All right.
So all of those things, all of that testing was done in order to see where the groundwater levels were.
Okay. Well, clearly,
I don't know, like I said, I don't know if that's under your jurisdiction or the planning board.
clearly, again, because this is the first time this has come before us, and given the fact that we always make sidewalks before we, make any final determinations, we certainly reserve the right to do so in this case. And so I would ask you, when we could come back, or when you could come back before our board.
You name it.
Well, I'm kind of, it's raining now. I'm hopeful that the snow's going to be gone by,
Tomorrow?
I don't think
no,
it'll be
not by,
But over the course, the cold snap is over. The cold snap is pretty much projected out as the cold snap is done.
Right.
We've got 2 days of rain and time and temperatures in the 50s. So by the middle of next week, we should have bare ground. I mean, it is still under a tree cover, so it's not getting direct sun in the same way. So it's a little slower to melt. But we certainly will go back to the site, and can we notify you that when the ground is clear so that we can set a time for that?
I was actually just there this evening, and it's actually partially bare now.
right. Our next meeting is going to be on April 8th. I would like to see if we could possibly, the problem though, of course, is that the weekend before April 8th is Easter weekend, so that's going to pose a problem for some members of the board.
Do you usually do your site inspections on the weekend?
We usually, yes, we do. We have to, because we're all,
Yep.
so I'm thinking possibly the Saturday before Easter. I don't know if all of us would be available. I think some of us would be available for a sidewalk. Yeah, I can make myself available too.
You're talking the Saturday before Easter? so
Yes.
The day before.
Yes.
So that's
That's
4/4.
the day we housewives are doing cooking and baking.
Yeah, I understand. You making me a pie?
I might
Okay. All right, I'll be.
I don't think the snow's gonna be.
No, it's
coming
almost,
out
but
on
it's
it.
almost visible now. I mean, it's
Be honest
straight
with
through.
you.
We understand that.
We'd probably be better off the 11th, but
Well, I mean,
I know
again,
it'd be after our meeting, that's the problem.
thing, yeah.
And your following meeting is when?
would be 2 weeks after that, the
22nd.
22nd.
So why don't we aim for, I mean, we don't want to waste anybody's time. That's the bottom
understand.
line. So it's, that's.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we schedule a site walk for Saturday, April 4th?
April 4th, okay, and then see how it goes.
And then, I mean, obviously, you know, if we get a blizzard, and it's possible.
I don't think we got a blizzard.
Well, we have had
I
that
doubt the
April
snow's
Fool's
gonna be
Day,
on.
you know,
It's
that.
not gonna be 50s, 60s every day between now and
Gentlemen,
then.
what we do is we meet you right at the proposed entrance to the subdivision at 9 o'clock on April 4th, if that's agreeable to you. Okay? All right, so is there a motion to continue?
So moved.
And Joe, you agree to this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, so we'll continue this to our next meeting on April 8th. At what time,
Do we need a
Sheila?
motion to the exact date and time?
Hold on.
Okay.
Why don't we just keep it at 7?
Okay. So, is there a motion to continue?
I'd move to continue the hearing until our next meeting, which is April
8th.
8th at 7 PM.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, so we're continuing to April 8th, and barring any unforeseen circumstance, we will see you on Saturday, April 4th at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Do you need a set of plans?
I didn't get one from Sheila, you know?
You
That's
didn't?
Sheila again. I didn't.
I need that particular set.
All right, 'cause
Do you-
it's the
do-
magic
do you
one.
I
wanna
don't
do-
know if it's, I don't know if
I'll
it's.
get one somewhere.
Well, I actually,
This is the same one, right?
right.
Just make sure that.
I mean, I actually have a full set of plans if you want that.
No, no, that one will take care of
Michael's
what
got
that's
a
all
full
critical.
set.
I do.
Well, you have 4 pages.
Oh, there's more?
Well, the 4 pages relevant to what we're doing here. There's a full set of the engineering drawings.
I'd like to see those.
Sure.
Great, thank you.
And that's the last set submitted, which acknowledged every comment from the town engineer, the peer reviewer, and everybody.
I will guard it with
Oh,
my
did I
life.
slide you something? Well, that was just the presentation.
Okay.
Oh,
It's clear.
with coffee on it.
So that too.
Does it help him see it?
All right. All right, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
I spelled your last name right, did I?
K-N-T-O-N-E-L-I. Yes.
Okay.
And you got
Want to
Rocco
sign
right,
that?
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
There you go. Just for reference, so they've been submitted also to DEP.
Okay, yes,
All
I
right.
think I got the DEP card.
Final number. I have that.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is a 7:15 public hearing for Alvin Pope, a notice of intent for the installation of a septic system on property located at 515 Rochdale Street in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. And you would be, sir?
I'm the installer for that project,
Okay.
so represent Burton and Alvin,
All right.
so. Burton couldn't make it, so.
Sorry to keep you waiting, sir.
No, it worked out perfect. I
You just came in?
Yeah, I just came in.
Jeez. Well, why weren't you here earlier? No, sorry.
Yeah, right. Oops.
I'm sorry, your name again?
Gabriel Berthium.
Mr. Berthium, I did look at the plan, I did have one question.
Yep.
It looks like at least a portion, the eastern portion of the septic system or proposed field is within 25 feet of the wetland.
Okay,
We have a 25-foot no-build zone here in Auburn,
okay,
unless you can qualify for a waiver, and I don't see that a request was made for one.
okay.
So my next question is going to be, can you move your leach fields?
So we're talking about the far corner. Okay, yes. The one with the slope on it there, the top right corner?
Right here.
Yep. Okay.
That's within 25 feet.
I know the site was kind of challenging. We perked in a few spots. It's kind of long and narrow. It's a real weird site. We couldn't get much to perk. There's a kind of a flatter spot, so we're kind of stuck there. But I think, depending on the topos and stuff, I would imagine he can move. Does it say the distance?
Well,
yeah, we'll have to look at that and see.
Yeah, just by eye, it's at least the corner is going to be within 25 feet.
What does it get the scale? 1 inch?
it's a 20 scale,
Okay.
so you're definitely within 25
Yep.
feet.
Now, just to be clear, is it the edge of the sand or is it the edge of the actual leach field? Do you know there's a 5-foot buffer?
There's no disruption at all.
Oh, there's no
within 25
disruption,
feet,
okay.
right?
No disturbance within 25 feet.
Okay. So, that'll all have to, okay.
Yeah, that looks tricky because you see where the garage is and where the existing driveway is, right? That's
Exactly.
tricky.
I mean, as long as, depending on the topos there, we were able, because it was kind of fill there, to get the system down. I mean, you know, the engineers they'll figure it out, but I couldn't see why they couldn't move it.
Okay, but just so we're clear on this, we'd like to see a revised plan that shows that it's not within the 25-foot no-build zone.
Correct.
So maybe you could speak to Mr. Burton and you can ask him to revise the plan.
Okay.
All right?
Now, let me ask you this, would you say there was is there a variance or something you could apply?
Waiver.
Or a waiver?
You can apply for a waiver, but you have to, and again, I would refer you to the regulations, sir. We do not give advisory opinions.
Okay.
Okay? That's why I would suggest maybe you have Mr. Burton look at the plan, look at our regulations, and see if he wants to propose a new, not a new design, but maybe a new location.
Yep.
And then, do you have authority to continue this on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Pope?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question, next question would be, how much time do you need to give us a new plan?
Something like that. I couldn't see why we couldn't get it to the next meeting. Because when's your next meeting? April?
April 8th.
Late.
Yeah. What's that, 2 weeks?
It's 2 weeks from tonight.
I have one question through the chair.
Please.
Is this like pretty much a standard design? Let's just say like a pretty much standard one. Because when I was on Conservation Spencer, they were putting in Presby systems, which I understand are a much smaller footprint.
Correct.
I don't know what the costs are. I don't know if that's a viable alternative.
Yeah, I know with the infiltrators, you get good square footage, and I mean, this is actually pretty big. I was looking it over the other day because I just got these copies a couple days ago. It's quite a big footprint because I think the soil wasn't that great there.
Okay.
But they might have to look into that. You know what I mean? Going a little alternative or something like that because it's a challenge. It is what it is.
I understand.
Luckily it's existing house. At least we got some options.
Right.
To be flexible. But I think they were trying to go with, the simplest kind of standard approach, which is the infiltrators. But
So is this to replace a system that failed Title V?
yeah, I think there's just an existing cesspool in there now.
Okay,
So
very good. Okay. Is there any other comment? All right. Well, sir, if you are authorized to continue this, when can we put Mr. Pope's application on?
We can just move it right to the
Why don't we do it for 7:30 on the 8th?
7:30?
Yes, I think the hearing on Packagug may be a little longer than 15 minutes, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, and is there a motion?
I would move to continue this hearing until April 8th at 7:30.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed to vote. So we'll see you on April 8th at 7:30.
can I just, real quick, was there anything else? So if there was any other changes, we can try and address them before that?
Sir, again, just based on my review of the plan, that was the thing that jumped out,
Okay.
I think.
So you didn't really see anything else other than, I just don't want to do one, come to the next meeting and do another waiver. Yeah, I just, try and be proactive, I guess.
I understand.
So,
Okay.
So no.
It looked fine to me, other than the
Okay.
fact that it was too close to the...
Okay.
Want to just sign that for me?
Yep.
Has this been submitted to the Board of Health?
I believe so.
Okay,
I think they were kind of put in simultaneously.
All right.
So, yep. Very good. And then, you know, obviously, if there's changes, we'll have to change it with Darlene and stuff. So. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. What time was that again?
7:30.
7:30?
Was that my plan?
Yes. Sorry.
That's
So we used to
okay.
fold them back up.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you just here hanging out? You have some business? Okay. Look at that face. All right. Why don't you come on up, Mr. Benoit? How may we assist you?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Please forgive me, I just had some wisdom teeth out, so try not to smile.
I'm so sorry.
I thought a lemon might have been involved. But there you go.
No. There are some items in your discussion section
Okay.
that I have come to discuss with the board.
Then, since you are here, you have our attention.
Okay. The first thing, I'm not sure if everyone got copies of this, but because of town meeting vote yesterday that may carry on to April 1st, the Board of Selectmen will have seeming authority to review Board and Commission fees on an annual basis. I understand that Conservation Commission adopts those mostly from...
Well, we have a higher authority.
Right, yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. However, we didn't have an actual fee schedule in our office, so I took...
You prepare this?
Yes, I took this from the wetlands regulations,
From the
so just
regulations.
kind of put it in
The
more
one
of a
that we
standard
have.
format.
Yeah, just the format. You just changed the format, right, Matt? You didn't
Right.
change anything.
No, I didn't change
Nothing was
anything else.
changed except the format. They have a separate.
The only thing that I did, and this is more of a clerical thing than anything else, is there's language in the bottom. This is parts A through G, and there was no G. I assumed it was advertising because advertising was bold and didn't have a letter in front of it.
Oh,
So
G in front of everything.
there is now, but it's not in your regulations.
okay.
So I put that on
Scrivener's
there.
error.
Clearly.
A Scrivener's
That
error.
would be something that you may want to note for future wetland regulations modifications.
What a swell idea. Okay. No, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Sure. So at an annual basis, upcoming, it seems, so long as the town meeting warrant passes the Attorney General's office, et cetera,
Right.
that seems to be a new procedure coming forward and want to bring that to the board's attention.
All right, thank you. In fact, what I would even suggest, Sheila, is that we actually we post this to our website so that an applicant, instead of having to sort through the regulations, they can actually just pull the fee schedule, and it would make it, I think, a lot easier. And I think, to your point, Mr. Benoit, we will make an effort to include G to discuss advertising, because that was an oversight. Okay.
Great.
What's next?
The other item I brought to attention is 31 Grove Street. I sent a map to the Conservation Gmail that may be more up to date than Google Maps, despite its 2015 copyright of Google Maps.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's the second one down.
Yeah, I was making a point of
It's also known as the Camden Woods subdivision.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know why it wasn't letting me zoom in any further earlier.
It's just like
this
JPEG.
sort of-
These data layers come from MassGIS, and they're from late 2014 or...
Yeah, it's...
Either way, they're more up to date. They have the athletic fields like you saw.
Right, I mean, that's the
For
point I
some,
was trying
oh,
to
there
make.
we go.
We had
You're not going to get the
we had the other
Did you do that on
meeting.
Google Map, Dan, so we can see?
Yeah, except of course it's only got so much resolution that it turns into a bunch of pixels.
So, town council received a letter from Attorney Paul O'Brien, who's since retired.
Right.
He represented a client for this subdivision, the Camden Woods, during their open space residential development special permit from the planning board.
When was that?
This was in 2005.
All right.
Okay. It was granted, subsequent definitive subdivision approval was granted. The road has since been accepted and the tri-party agreement has been released. This is just about done.
Okay.
All right, the last thing, as part of the open space residential development special permit, was they had to reserve 40% of the overall parcel of land for open space. And that 40% of open space is the land you see in the rear of this parcel.
All right.
Okay. The planning board has the authority to require the applicant to deed this land to the town with the restriction that it remains open space or conservation land, or he can require, or the board can require the applicant to put this into a private trust with the restriction it remains open space or conservation land. Okay. So one of the things that was a stipulation on the planning board decision, subdivision approval, and the open space residential development special permit was that no construction equipment or stockpiling materials was allowed to be stored on this site. As you can see from the 2014 aerial photography, there's something there.
That's pretty big.
I was just gonna ask.
That's not insignificant.
What is that?
It is, if you zoom in close
It's a
enough,
construction site.
you can see construction equipment, some trailers.
And something
That's
there
an detention
too.
basin. That's a
Okay.
easement recorded. It's part
But
of
yeah,
the open
that's
space.
pretty major.
Dan, can you put on Google Maps, not this map, but the address?
Yeah, I don't think it's
just
gonna
wanna
show.
kinda
It may show the time lapse to see if the
Well, how about,
construction.
like, what's the
equipment's
address on the houses in the back of this? Like, one, just to get a focus point.
17
so-
Camden.
Yeah.
Okay,
17 Camden Road Drive, Camden Drive.
17.
hopefully it's
Who,
something.
who owns that open space?
A LLC, I believe.
Okay. Are they-
Developer may have
Okay, well,
something
it's
to do
on
with
this
that.
one.
It is on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Right
it's
there.
better detail here.
Scroll to your
Look
left,
at
go
that
to the right.
detail.
Wow.
The sand.
It's sand
It looks
pits.
like a sand pit.
Dan, scroll over a little more, zoom out, look at the green, hold on. Is that, no, I'm sorry, the other way, A little more.
The other green.
You see the green? Is that Eddie Pond right there?
It's Pondville Pond.
Ah, yeah. Wow. There's
One thing
magic
I
going
want to
on
point
there.
out, there is, if you pull the map up,
Riverine.
there is
area, by the way.
a access road, which you can't see on this. It's right about here. And I drove out to the site at about 6 o'clock today. That road is still there. There's kind of tire tracks in it, but I couldn't see far enough into the woods to see if this was still there. Or any of the equipment was still there. This is kind of the main concern that
Yeah.
I have, because it's a violation of 2 decisions issued by the planning board. And
Well, not only that, but obviously there's activity within our jurisdiction that we haven't received notice about.
correct.
I would love to
So-
walk that site.
Enforcement throughout this subdivision approval seems to have not taken place. Whether that's on the town or not, I
Well,
I
I'm
do
curious,
not know.
what was the planning, does the planning board know about this?
They will know on Tuesday.
All
This
right.
came to my decision recently from our assistant town manager.
Is that something that's
Whoever
left
lives
over
at
from
this
the
house would know
original
something about it.
Construction?
I'm sorry,
Is that something that's left over from the original construction?
we don't know. It probably is. I spoke to an abutter across the pond and believes that the activity has been more recently since the road was accepted than anything else.
Oh,
However, these ortho photos, it's hard to say how old they are. They're at least a couple of years old. The road was accepted in 2013. The
Now the-
tri-party agreement, I'm sorry, the road was accepted in April of 2014 town meeting.
Did you say that the cart path of the road you saw showed some recent activity?
It appeared that way. It could have been quads, dirt bikes.
Right,
I
right.
don't know.
But,
So the reason I'm here today in front of the commission is see if the commission would like to provide a recommendation to the planning board, as the planning board needs to decide whether the town would accept the land or if it should be deeded to private trust. The opinion of assistant town managers, some other town staff, is there's really no use for the property. It's just open space, obviously. It has that restriction on it. There's no access other than the easement to the detention basin. There's 2 private lots that are undeveloped. If you go back to my map, it shows the parcels, I believe. 2 undeveloped parcels on the kind of the northeast side there. I tried reaching out to the original developer. Their phone number is disconnected. It's no
Who
longer-
was the original
It was
developer?
Arlington Homes Incorporated. The
Oh, yeah.
gentleman's name was Jeff Boisclair.
oh,
I can't get a hold of that person. There's another issue here when they're trying to deed over this land. If you see the Millbury town line in yellow, I think that's yellow.
Yes.
On their original subdivision approval, they proposed this line as the Millbury town line, which isn't the real town line.
That's quite a, I mean, that's quite a variation.
Right.
Isn't it?
Is it a strip that nobody owns, or?
It's owned by the original owner of the parcel of land.
Oh, I see.
And who's that?
His name is Fred Page. I left a message on the phone number on his 2005 application. I don't know if it's an 832
Was it still connected?
It wasn't
Disconnected.
him on the voicemail.
Oh, it wasn't.
Well then.
It wasn't, no last name was given. So
Okay.
I left a message anyways. So it's unclear in their proposal, and I don't want to get too far into this, but they're trying to deed over what looks like 14 acres of land. I forget the exact number. This long strip is about 3 acres.
Yeah.
Okay. The entire parcel is 23, including the subdivision, leaving about the number for the open space is just unknown.
Well, I mean, you need to have another survey done, or
Yeah,
someone needs to
right.
have another survey done.
The survey was corrected to show the new town line. It's proper in the assessor's field cards. It's since been rectified, but the information that they gave us hasn't been updated to deed over this parcel. So they need to change that.
If I have one of the house lots on what was thought to be the boundary line, I mean, there's now, I think, a legal question of whether or not the boundary lines actually extend to the Millbury town line.
So their parcel line wouldn't change.
Uh-huh.
That the town line
So
did,
who
but their
owns
parcel line wouldn't
who
change.
owns the strip then?
His name's Fred Page.
Okay, so you're saying Mr. Page would continue ownership in that strip of land, which is not going to do him any good.
No, it still reads that way right now on the assessor's record.
Wow.
So we can't tell if they're trying to deed that, if they're not trying to deed that, because they didn't update their number when they tried to
Well, I can
deed
see
over the original
I can see an
land.
issue where if the town deeds to the Conservation Commission, or this land in which Mr. What's his name, Page?
Yes.
Has an interest, then that could be a source of concern.
Right. They clearly need to do or provide us an updated proposal. This has to go before town meeting for vote to accept it based on the planning board's recommendation
And
if the town wants it.
this will not happen in May either.
No.
So
No. The
I mean-
warrant closes on Monday.
Right.
Closed this past Monday.
Right. I mean, again, I think a survey has to be done that's accurate.
Certainly.
And I think, like you say, Matt, Mr. Page needs to be contacted and needs to be, if he's still alive, let's say, or if he still owns the property,
Right.
find out if he's aware of the fact that that property, he now owns this 3-acre strip of land that he can't really use.
Right. And those efforts have been ongoing since I received this, I just wanted to bring that up as a
Okay.
further concern with this. The main concern, I guess, for you today is we want to accept the land that has a big pile of construction equipment on it.
There's equipment on it now?
I couldn't tell.
Well, I think we're gonna have to take a look.
Yeah, I'd like to express some concerns. Has this gentleman, Mr. Page, been paying taxes on this land since they
Not sure.
put it on? Because even if it's 61A and it's very low tax rate, I mean, he still is gonna be like, what am I gonna do with the use of strip of land? But
Oh,
my first concern is, I'm dying to go to this site
Right.
when the weather permits and see what's out there. Is anyone from the town, any of the
I will say,
Board of Health, anyone out
I'm
there?
not sure. I will say that it is
Because when I see
outside.
piles of sand like that, I'm concerned. Construction equipment, because people will bury anything they can.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
that's right.
Well, not only that, but depending on the topography,
It's right next to the water.
It's
Yeah.
still over 100 feet from the water.
yeah, but if it's a downhill slope, we could be getting silt into the...
Very true.
Yeah, we need to take a look. Again, just speaking for myself, I think I would like to voice my concern to the planning board. And until this issue of this pit and what is being done there, plus the issue of the survey and Mr. Page's interest in the property are resolved, I think it's premature for the property to be deeded.
I agree.
So that would be my, and I would encourage the planning board to to take a look as well. So,
Okay. They have this on their Tuesday agenda next week.
okay.
Tuesday
So
next
just
week.
tell them that we have concerns.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, next.
So do you want to do a site visit there, or what's up with
Yes.
that?
I'd love to.
I would, and maybe we can do it on April 4th, but again, we're still, waiting to see what the weather's gonna do and whether the snow cover's gonna be
But
gone.
there's
by
sort of no time pressure to visit this right
There
now.
isn't, there isn't.
So we
So what we'll do is
keep
if
it on
you
the
would-
agenda.
Put it on the agenda?
Yeah, keep it on the agenda, and then we'll get out there when conditions permit. Are you holding up there, all right?
Do you think,
Okay.
I just have a question.
Sure.
So do you think an aerial photo is enough to warrant some kind of notification from the conservation that we, or at least that we want to go visit this place?
Well, it's not posted, is it?
It's a direct violation of site plan approval and the special permit from the planning board if that's not a pre-existing condition. So I think we don't know.
Well, we need to know why it's there, how long it's been like that. Is it currently being disrupted?
Those sand piles are pretty distinct. I wouldn't say that that's just been sitting there.
It's been modified since.
I mean, imagery is enough to make
And
an
they look pretty high
inquiry.
too, as a matter of fact.
I couldn't see, there's some topo, there's a nice little hill there.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't see over it today from the car. But I didn't get out.
I mean, it could be an illegal sand pit,
Possibly.
Well, and if it's land that the town potentially has a future stake in, we have a compelling interest in finding out what's going on there.
No question.
So,
All right.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Very good.
Anything else?
Yes.
Okay.
here we go.
Yep, he's on a roll.
Put another item on your agenda for the Blackstone Valley Corridor Grant. It's called the 2015 Partnership Program Grant. I don't know if the commission is aware, but Auburn has been recently added to the Blackstone River Valley Corridor. It
Which
wasn't
is
part
now a
of it.
national park.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
part of it. It's not the whole thing.
Well,
a little part of it. Correct.
I'll take something.
So this makes the town eligible for grants. And there's a grant with an expiration date of March 31st that allows us to apply for funding for environmentally related subjects. Okay.
Okay.
Trying to put this the right way. I don't have the description in front of me. There's 4 different things you could apply for. You could tell the story of the American industrialization. It's kind of a public outreach thing. Preserving and enhancing valley communities. Historically, cultural significant buildings and landscapes. Balancing conservation and growth. So conserving Blackstone Valley natural resources, historic land use patterns, encouraging appropriate development. And the 4th one is promoting river recovery. Improving the health of a river system, increasing public awareness, facilitating use and enjoyment of the Blackstone River and its tributaries.
So these are what? These are programs that people have sort of outlined and they need funding for?
Right, these are the 4 sorts of, I guess, development or projects that you could
Choose from.
apply for. If your project fits those criteria, you feel that your project fits those criteria.
Okay.
So the town town staff and myself have put together an idea for a walking trail. And the walking trail would, if you want to go back to Curtis Street, so to speak, would be in the general area of the Pack Chug Meadows ball fields and the undeveloped area and its connection to South Hole Road and the new property that we just purchased.
That's a great idea.
This gives us the required
All that undeveloped
recreational,
land right there?
yes, the required recreational use that we would need to use for that 61A land acquisition. I believe 70% of it still has to be remain open space or passive recreation.
Yep.
So these walking trails fit that bill.
Yeah.
And you may recall in the original Pappas Recreation Complex proposal, there were walking trails.
Yes.
Yes.
And then they were removed for unknown reasons, I believe budget, not even sure.
Well, there's some paved
Walking
ones,
trails
but
are blacktop sidewalks.
Yeah, that's right. I think they were
yeah, it's not exactly
Right.
as impervious
Not
bituminous
exactly what I call
concrete.
So
walking trails.
those were removed for,
Not been
Which,
plowed all
I
winter.
Well, you
guess.
can still walk on them.
Not
You
in
can
the winter time.
rollerblade on them.
sure, the imagery I gave you, Dan, you might be able to see the actual
Oh,
fields.
yeah, that's just a little small or something.
So what would you like from us?
So, we're trying to put together the history of this project, the development of the fields, the acquisition of the 61A land, and the timeline involved, and then what it would take to engineer these sort of trails. So part of this project, it's a maximum $15,000 grant with a match of 1-to-1. The town would have to match $15,000 at its own resources. It doesn't have to be money, it could be town hours, volunteer hours, things like that. So, number one thing is if there would be any volunteers for projects such as this. And number two is I just want to go over the proposed timeline that I've put together so far. This would need its own wetland delineation. There needs to be flagging. Any flagging done with Packagug Rec was 2011 at the latest and has since expired.
Right.
So delineation would have to be done. Given those flags and the delineation, an engineered plan for walking trails has to be derived. Built by whether it's town engineer, town staff, or we have to sub it out to college or a program for less than having to pay a full-time PE. Or we would have to do that under the grant. And have to come through local approval, Concom approval, and other approvals as needed.
Would a warrant have to be put in, or would it have to be an article on the town warrant?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
There's a meeting tomorrow with a lot of the department representatives at 10 o'clock. If anyone is able to attend, I'd recommend it. It's going over what we could do for engineering for the trail. Timeline for wetland delineation. If there's any resources we
Is
have.
that meeting here tomorrow?
Is that
Matt?
right here?
'Cause I have the morning off tomorrow. I wasn't going into Rhode Island until about 1 o'clock tomorrow.
It's at 10 o'clock in this room.
Oh, cool. Come here, Mo.
Okay.
Give us a report next time.
I have
Absolutely.
I have a rough estimate of this taking
After Dan
a
goes
year.
over it, I'll submit
It's
it.
just a general idea. But then it would also, not only would the trails have to be engineered, they have to be constructed, but along with this, there may be trail maps and brochures for the public that include not only the map, but any historical references, past Nipmuc, Indians, Packagug, Indians, Satellite, any information like that, plus a field guide for any flora, fauna that's they may be able to spot on the trails. You can have studies like that done by Clark University, WPI. There's several schools that allow that will do that sort of research for us for their students, and I've already reached out to a couple of them and just trying to get an idea when they would do it. So yeah, there's a lot that will go into this. It's not a huge grant. It's only $15,000. We'd have to decide where we would put that as part of our proposed idea. But I wanted to run that by the commission. So if you had any other thoughts to such a trail design, anything you think that may be beneficial to this trail given its area, and if you're familiar with those areas. I think the delineation, the engineering, the plan, the design, the trail map and brochures, and the field guide ecological study are some pretty interesting and nice pieces for this. But I wasn't sure if the commission had any other ideas for it.
That's a good idea.
No, it
Good,
sounds
I
like
have
you-
a question though. After, assuming that these trails are constructed, who's going to maintain them afterwards?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, maintenance, and I'm just gonna be on town property, so it's gonna be us.
Yeah, well, but,
Yeah,
you know.
but who?
My only
probably
thing is
how
that
often?
passive recreation is way low
Right.
as far as maintenance goes.
Right.
I mean,
Will there
it's
be
not-
trash?
Well,
to
that
take
could
out?
be.
Yeah.
I think, you know, maybe trash cans,
Right.
but
Trash and overgrowth.
The Parks and Recreation Department does oversee, I know Ken Fairbanks oversees the complex, and if this was tied into that maintenance, that would be great. That would answer that question.
Simpler.
Can they take their own on top of everything else
Sure.
they do?
They can go for a walk when they're done. It's fine. Or before.
it's a walking
on their
trail.
lunch
I don't
break.
think it's gonna.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be that much maintenance. I'll
So-
be honest with you.
So, I haven't gotten into the possible parking, additional parking, like off of Curtis Street. I haven't thought of that yet.
Yeah.
Would someone want to park it? Haven't even gone there. So, if you
Well,
look
look
at
at that little triangle by the culvert, maybe.
this is the best way for me to take
and come back and zoom in, be gone.
But this is the connection between the two
I mean, this is your total resolution. I can zoom in more, but there's
Yeah,
no
go
extra
ahead.
resolution.
This is our connection. It's about 12 feet wide.
Oh, perfect.
This is the only way we can connect the town-owned Pappas land and the newly acquired 61A land.
Well, that's the thing I thought was, if they got all this stuff down here, and then you can make these two things, the whole area connect.
Right. This
Great.
is the underground diversion channel,
Yeah.
then the waterfall and the open air diversion channel.
We can make a slide in there. Kids, no, I'm kidding.
Apparently there's a,
Water slide.
when it's flowing, apparently there's a really nice looking waterfall that comes off of that.
That's right. That's
Yeah, well,
right.
that's when people do the ice climbing.
There you go.
On
Is that where the ice climbing point is? Right.
I don't know exactly, but that's what I've heard.
How the trails could be implemented is
Yeah, it's right way.
still up for design,
That's gotta
but
be it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
With the
who's
slope.
drafting the application? Is that
we
you?
have to do probably in-house, myself.
But you say the deadline's next Tuesday, right?
Just to, the application, I've done about 80%
Yeah.
of it already.
Oh, awesome.
I just need to run it by Julie, town engineer, and the other staff that's gonna be at the meeting tomorrow. Application's just about done, just have to add a couple of things. Timeline, just need to go over it and make sure it looks pretty.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
I agree with Mr. Olson. I mean, the reality is that there's not nearly enough passive recreation in the town of Auburn.
Right.
It's been proposed in the past. I remember when Matt Smith was on the commission many years ago, I think the Boy Scouts were involved in clearing trails.
Right.
So I think it's terrific. It's it's in line with the goals of our commission to conserve wetlands and the rivers and the adjoining areas. So I think it's a terrific
And
effort.
promote
Thank you.
passive recreation to be preserved in perpetuity. That's one of our first, that's our charter as a commission to
That's
promote
right.
that, so.
In addition to this, I've completed a natural heritage data release form that I'm gonna send into the Mass Wildlife to get any endangered
Wow.
species
Very
listed
good.
on this property, just in case.
Yes. Good. Great.
So-
All right.
Matt, do you see that meeting being over tomorrow by early afternoon?
I have it from 10 to 10:30. It may go to 11.
Okay.
But I don't see
All
it
right.
going longer
Awesome.
than that.
I'm gonna be here tomorrow. Awesome.
Okay. Fantastic.
Okay.
I don't believe I have anything else.
Well, Mr. Bruno, and I want to thank you on behalf of the commission for coming by, and we appreciate your interest and efforts.
And sharing information with us, thank you.
Thank you. Anytime.
Matt's
Okay.
doing a great job.
Matt, I have one more
Thank you.
question.
Well, let's not go too far. No.
I haven't been following the town vote on the acquisition of the land, but did the town decide not to accept that $1 million donation, keeping the restriction on it? So in other words, it's town land, but we don't know what the plan is for it yet? Okay.
It seems to still be a restriction of 70%, and the
Okay.
land has to remain open space. passive
But it's not,
recreation.
but we didn't take that $1 million, so.
No, we
Good.
didn't.
So we can still do something with 30%.
So we're not, are we doing the solar farm, or is that out?
That's
Do you know when
still-
the town? Do you know when the
still-
town
be
took
talking
title
to
to
us.
the property?
I believe Monday.
Was it this past Monday?
I think so.
2 days ago?
Only to that, I
I heard
don't know for
Tuesday,
sure.
Monday or Tuesday.
But I know Monday was a big day.
All right. Very good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
I'll be in touch.
Feel better.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Get some rest.
We should put solar panels on the high school.
But what?
How come they don't have solar panels on every school in this town?
No.
Okay. The next item on the agenda
Just throwing it out.
is town warrant articles. And do you know why you put that on there, Sheila?
Somebody told me to
warrant
put that
article.
on.
Okay, well, there's nothing to really discuss. There was, as you probably all know...
Oh, just about the fee thing.
Yep.
Was somebody unsure about that? Was that?
Unsure about, no, they changed it.
Somebody
Right?
changed something?
By statute, the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board have the right to set their own fees, and also fines or penalties. And so what was discussed last night was whether or not the Board of Selectmen was going to be somehow responsible for those things. And I think it's pretty clear from what I heard Attorney Hennigan indicate that that's not the case. We will continue to set our own fines and fees, I think subject to maybe commentary from the Board of Selectmen. So, and I know, so anyway. The next item on the agenda is 430 Rochdale Street, Department of Fishing and Wildlife tree cutting. Can you enlighten us on that? If
Chance
you-
to look at it.
Okay.
I don't know, is it just, did they have some concerns, the Division of Fishing and Wildlife, with some tree cuttings on, what was that? I can't find
This says they don't expect activities to have a negative impact on the estimated hazard.
it. Oh, it doesn't, okay. I have it here.
430, Russ?
That's what it says here.
This may or may not be accurate at all. As Google Maps is
That's good.
notoriously not accurate.
Okay.
Here it is, here, I know I have it somewhere.
Where's 430?
I don't know. I know 498's down by where that other project was, so.
Right.
There's not an address for Rochdale Street on that. for some
High
reason.
Street.
It just says road, Rochdale, it doesn't have a number.
It's on
Yeah.
that side of Rochdale
Is
Street,
that the
so.
Baptist development? Rochdale Street?
No, that's west.
430.
That's what, I'm sorry.
It's on there.
I'm sorry, that's right.
That's
West
So
Street.
498's down there, right? So it's good, and it's gonna be on the left-hand
498
side.
was the one that we were,
Right,
Yeah.
that's come before, so that's
Yeah.
the
But that's
even
already
side,
been-
so it's up there
Yep.
somewhere.
Cut.
I guess my first question would be, is there anything that would trigger jurisdiction for us?
That's what I'm saying. You know, why are they, is it jurisdictional somehow?
I don't, well, for one thing, the letter is not, I only have page 1 of 2, so
Yeah,
I don't know
I-
if there's a second page. And I don't
Oh, there's
know
three
if
right there.
there was a CC to us or how we actually got this.
I think it was an email that I got.
Okay. So is it just notification?
I'm sure that's what it was.
Was anyone else notified here in the town? Like
I don't
planning
believe
board?
so.
All right. We may, I don't know.
So it seems, this is just something I don't know. There's a statement that says, should the plan prepare desire to harvest within 50 feet of the forested wetlands? So is there a different rule for forest cutting than there is for normal activities like the 100-foot thing?
It's 430, that was
We,
the number.
there's no distinction under our
Yeah, I found it on
bylaw.
there too. It's on
I think
there.
if they're proposing some sort of activity within our jurisdiction, they
That
should
wasn't on, that
allow
was
us.
on the division.
Right.
So I think maybe we
Yeah,
need
I
to
don't
take a
know
look
that.
at this.
Yeah. It's,
All right.
Okay, so.
Why don't I see if there's anything else that was sent with that too?
But I'm again, if cutting is being done within 100 feet of the wetlands, it would certainly trigger jurisdiction.
But that's under the normal, the Wetlands
Right,
Protection Act.
but my point though is that we don't make a distinction for forest or wetlands.
Okay.
You know, so I think that's what, we need to check it out, so I think we need to take a look. And I would just say for now, maybe we can do it on April 4th, we can talk amongst ourselves. Okay. The next item is 34 Mill Street. As you will recall, a letter was sent to Mr. Robidoux, giving him till April 1st to remove the collapsed structure on his property. I have not been over there. Mr. Robidoux is a town meeting member, but he was not present last night, so I did not have an opportunity to speak to him about this. But clearly, since April 1st is next Wednesday, we will need to take a look, so we'll see if anything's happened there. Under other business, Faith Avenue, hopefully you've all had a chance to look at the proposal that was submitted to us by the BSC group. So I don't know what your thoughts are.
I don't have that one.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, we need to act on this.
Can I see a copy, please?
You may.
Was that in the packet?
it was from a few.
Oh, it was from,
packets ago, I think.
It was
From an email or?
Well, it originally came by email, and I disseminated it by email.
Oh, I missed that, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Consulting service. So this is the applicant's new person or is it for
No,
us?
this is for us.
Oh, for us, okay.
As you recall, Ms. Washburn decided that she did
Yeah,
not
she
want to
stepped
be
aside.
involved in the project any longer. Through council, I consulted with
cost estimate,
with Joe Bolino at
Oh, this is
DEP
just there.
and Mr. Coyle and Jillian Davies at the BSC group came highly recommended.
Okay.
So my request, I sort of gave her an outline of of the scope of work. She received the notice of intent, other documents relating to the site, and she generated this proposal in response.
Okay.
I reviewed it. I think it's reasonable. I think the fees are reasonable. But of course, if this was acceptable to the board, we would then submit it to Mr. Simon to see if he will agree to pay for it.
I mean, I guess the question I would have is, I don't know what to compare these numbers to, because I don't remember seeing a breakdown from other other people we've retained in the past. So,
right. Well, if you want us to get, we don't have to get additional quotes because and it doesn't have to go out to bid either because the contract is less than $10,000, which I think triggers competitive bidding. Again, I'm trying to expedite this. You know, if it's the board's wish to get some other proposals, we'll do that, but it will slow everything down.
but I mean, do we know offhand whether this compares favorably to people we've retained in the past?
Anecdotally, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
$2,725, yeah.
But it gives a schedule of potential things that might happen. Or,
It does.
Right, this isn't
So,
specific to this project.
doesn't
This is
necessarily
just
all
their
those things that might
generic
happen.
listing of services.
I mean, again, the scope of work that Ms. Davies proposes is set forth in the proposal. I think it's pretty detailed,
Yeah, it is.
you know, so
So we need a motion?
we do after Mr. Fallon has that chance to review it. Are you good with it?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept conditions illustrated in this proposal from BSC Group.
Okay. Is there a second?
So saying we're going to retain them as a peer review?
Well, what's your motion again? To accept it,
To
right?
accept it, right.
Okay.
Accept this proposal.
To retain them
Okay.
for this particular project.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Is there a motion to submit this to Mr. Simon? Because the whole idea here is that since it's peer review, as you know, under our regulations, we require applicants to, when experts or consultants are retained, they cover the cost of that peer review.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, so what I'll do is I will compose a letter to Mr. Simon advising that at this meeting we reviewed and approved this proposal and submit it to him for his consideration and approval and payment. Okay? Great.
Glenn asked me the other day if we had somebody, I think I sent you that email. Do you want me I told him I'd let him know Thursday, so I'll just tell him that you will be getting in touch with Joe Simon.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I just want to say too, I've got a 20 Jade Hill Road, we've got a next meeting. They're wanting a certificate of compliance on a order of conditions that was issued back in 2005.
Okay.
So,
Can you pull the plan?
there wasn't any plan. I couldn't even find the notice, the filing or anything. That she did give me a copy of the order of conditions.
Did the order of conditions require an as-built?
I didn't even read it yet, to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
That's coming up next, on the next agenda. I'll be putting that on.
All right, that's fine. But I'll tell you right now, if it required an as-built and we don't have one,
Okay, I'll look and see if it does, and if it does, I'll get in touch with them.
all right. And then going further, we have a certificate of compliance request for 1 William Street.
Yeah, those are,
Well, but hopefully now that the snow is melting, we'll be able
well, we
to
didn't
get to
get the
those.
as-built from him yet.
That was from
William.
Millbury Street. We didn't get one.
Millbury we did, but William Street we have
Well, then we
not.
can't act on it until we
Right.
get it. And then,
I'll tell him about that.
and then again, I mean, I know, again, if weather permits, we'll be doing the sidewalk of
Yeah.
Curtis Street on April 4th. Maybe we can take a look at 31 to 35 Millbury Street as well. Okay. Enforcement orders, 498 Rochdale Street, we're holding that in abeyance.
Right.
Again, since we are getting close to actually seeing the ground again, I anticipate that hopefully by the middle of April, we'll have a chance to look at the detention basin as part of the Route 12 and 20 project.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, 5 years.
Okay. Should we take up the minutes?
I would explain why it doesn't show the Pappas project displayed.
Okay. As Ms. Conroy so accurately noted, I did have a chance to make corrections to it. But feel free to make additional corrections, Mr. Reich, if you wish. Or anyone else for that matter.
Or anyone, you
Single
know.
them out.
Serious.
I have one correction and one question. 7:15 meeting at 129 West Street.
Yeah?
1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth line down, Mr. Morrison explained the site, I think would have a cul-de-sac, would be better than having cul-de-sac right there.
Sure.
Is cul-de-sac supposed to be hyphenated in between?
I don't know.
Dan?
Sometimes I
Seen
see
it
it.
both ways.
What? Cul-de-sac, doesn't that have a hyphen between cul-de-sac?
It might be.
I think so.
It's definitely not one word.
Yeah.
No, it's
all
space,
lumped
it's
together.
space, but I don't know why.
It might be hyphenated.
Yeah, I usually see it hyphenated, but it wasn't.
Depends on whether you're in France
Yeah.
or Quebec.
They're from France.
Then 5 St. Mark Street on the back side. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines up from the bottom of that paragraph. Why is underground utilities in parentheses? Is there a reason for that? Electric company will be coming to the site on Thursday or Friday to turn off.
First reference NASA.
I think you can take those out.
Okay.
Just take out NAS.
Because they're coming to turn off the underground utilities, right?
Yeah.
That's what they said.
Exactly.
So we don't
Yeah.
need the
Okay.
parentheses.
All
right.
That's all.
Okay.
First time in 100 years.
Alrighty. So
I
you
wasn't
weren't
there, so-
here.
Not reading it. Not gonna do it.
Wouldn't be prudent.
Did you read these at home, Dan?
Can't say I did.
No, he never does.
Right, reads them backwards at home, then he reads them again.
You know what? I think I'm not going to give them to him anymore.
Gee, no matter what I do, there are complaints. Either I analyze them with a fine-tooth comb or I don't look at them. I thought other people had taken up that role anyway.
No, we like the way you do it.
Oh, I see.
We let you do the final scan.
It's all right, though. We'll give Dan a break.
That's all right.
He just celebrated a birthday this week, so.
I know, I'm an old guy now.
Happy birthday.
Well, okay.
Yes, happy birthday.
It's kind of relative, I think.
Oh.
It is.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the meeting minutes of March 11th, 2015 as amended.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstention.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Opposed. I oppose.
You can take your shoe off and hit the table.
Mr. Gorbachev.
We will bury you.
Okay.
Tear down this wall.
Is there any other business? Any matters that,
It just, not business, but,
Pleasure?
so, like all these things that came up about, it seems to be not jurisdictional for us, but the stormwater management and the drainage
Are you
management.
talking Curtis Street?
For instance. But as a
Okay.
general item,
Yeah, that was a lot of critiques there.
we get a stormwater management plan, right? Are we
Reviewed by-
expected to, what is our role in that? I thought it was more the planning board to look at that.
It is the planning board, and the planning board reviews it. Bill Coyle usually reviews it, and then it goes out for peer review. Usually
I mean,
Grace
yeah,
Engineering
the
does
thing I
all
know
that.
is we get a peer review of it, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think given,
Is it jurisdictional, I guess, is what I'm asking, if there's something wrong with the stormwater management?
Well, to answer your question, I mean, we've had this issue with groundwater before, and I guess the honest answer is that I don't know if it's jurisdictional or not. I think at a minimum, though, we definitely, I want to see the drainage calculations. I think just given the location of that subdivision, it occurs to me that a lot of material is going to have to be removed in order to flatten it out.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I think we have to take a look. I think
I think we should take a look.
Another question.
But just as an example, in our bylaw and our regulations, we don't really have a lot of stuff in there about stormwater management.
That's absolutely true.
So there's no real guidelines hard and fast on that.
Right, that's absolutely true, but I think under the new bylaw, there is going to be a stormwater.
That's true.
I think when you consider all the work that was done at Pappas and for the general
believe me,
contractor and all the things that didn't go exactly.
I don't want to bring that up
completely
because
away from the plan, that I think that's
what
brings up
people
a
are
lot of
looking at.
issues.
And we
People
do
are looking
know
at in that
from-
neighborhood,
Yeah,
saying the
yeah.
same thing, and they're going to say it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
So in any event, I think we have to be diligent. We have to take, we do need to see what the planning board is doing, and we'll take a look and we'll see what we see. And we'll
Can't
go
we
from there.
research the stormwater management on the MACC website and see what they have?
I suppose we could. You give me some homework to do, though. But I probably should look at that.
It's not a bad idea, you know, so I think,
What is this, by the way, Tom? You gave me. It doesn't say where it is.
Oh, yeah, it's at Worcester State College, but we're
Worcester
doing
State
site visits that day, and honestly, I'm really curious to see that site that we're just discussing.
Oh, yeah,
now.
no, we
That-
have to.
Yeah, they offer that every so often, but this,
yeah, just for anyone that is interested, there is going to be a lake and pond management workshop offered Saturday, April 5th. So you can go to this after you do site walks.
It's true. We get a whole day of conservation dedicated before Easter.
That's right.
excellent.
Part of my penance for Lent.
I'm hearing the house full of company.
40 days or one day.
Straight, one day.
We'll give you absolution. Okay.
I don't want to miss those walks, though.
No, the walks will be good.
See how much I can get done ahead of time.
If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you, everyone.